Welcome back to another episode of the Mainly Hoops podcast. Back with another game preview here for the first round of the NCAA Tournament. We've got number 2 seed Purdue taking on 15th seeded Queens out of the ASUN. This game Friday night at 7:35. Off first glance, Cody, this game is going to be quite a challenge for Queens, particularly on the defensive end. If you just look at the high level comp they played in non-conference, like we were just talking about off camera. Villanova scored 94 against them. Virginia 94. Wake Forest 111, and they're not even they're a power conference team, but they had a down year. 108 against Arkansas and 106 against Auburn. And their defense isn't really good in any way, but they really get smoked on the interior. And you look at this Purdue team with Trey Kaufman-Renn, Oscar Clough, the physicality that they play with, and then you look at Queens on the defensive glass being 301st in defensive rebound rate, and as good as Purdue is on the offensive glass, it spells a lot of trouble for Queens. They're really going to need to shoot the lights out, I think, for them to have any sort of chance to really hang around here to potentially pull off an upset. Obviously, we've seen Purdue have their fair share of issues, getting knocked off by St. Peter's a couple years ago, losing to FDU in the first round. But I just don't like this matchup for Queens at all. But Cody, I'll kick it over to you. Are there some things that Queens could do to hang around to potentially steal this one?
Defensively, I think it's pretty clearly that there aren't anything. Like I was saying before we got on here, you look at their team sheet, their team profile, and every single stat category on KenPom is in the red. I don't know if I've really ever seen that with when you don't grade out well in really any statistic, and it a lot of it does come from playing a really tough non-conference schedule. Like you mentioned, they played, Arkansas and Auburn can kind of just bully them. They got scored on that. 3 straight teams scored 100 on them, Wake, Arkansas, and Auburn. So it wouldn't shock me if Purdue's able to do the same thing. The pace of this game might be a little bit slow for Purdue to not get to 100, but I think it's pretty fair to say that Queens is going to have to win this game with their offense. And, I think there's a good chance that they can, score at a decent clip against Purdue. And it kind of starts with, I guess at first it kind of starts with the fact that Purdue's not, daunting athletically. Their guards aren't really going to get after you. They're not going to overwhelm Queens with their length by any means. And Queens can also, space them out with their front court. Carson Schwieger can really space the floor. Yoav Berman could potentially be a matchup problem for these bigs or even the guards. He's a bigger, 6'6" forward that could, I'm not sure who's going to cover him to start this game really. It seems like Fletcher Lawyer has been taking on some of these assignments. He was covering Axel Lenneborg in the Big Ten championship. And that's another matchup it's just weird for them. They're not a switchable defense. So these forwards and wings, I think, can give Purdue some problems. And Queens does have a couple potential matchup problems. So yeah, I think that it's going to be, they're really gonna have to space out these Purdue bigs and, maybe win off back cuts, maybe win off of screens. But like you said, they're gonna have to shoot the ball at a super high clip to win this game.
Yeah, they are. And they've shown at times to be capable of that. Queens is playing their best basketball of the season right now. They've lost only 2 games since the 1st of February. They've played well. They've scored points at a high clip. They've scored 90 plus in 4 of their last 6. 80 plus, it looks like, in 6 of their last 8, 7 of their last 8. So, they're certainly scoring the ball at a high clip. And like you said, they're probably going to still be able to score in this game. It's just a matter of Purdue's efficiency is going to be likely through the roof. But Queens, I think, is going to get their fair share of open catch and shoot threes. Purdue is susceptible to giving those up. And Queens is looking to shoot the 3 primarily. They shoot almost half their shots from 3. And they can get hot, right? They're 63rd in the country in percentage, So, if they have an outlier shooting day here, and maybe they're able to get enough stops, maybe they can hang around. I certainly would not expect that. But there's really no boundaries in March. You never really know. The rankings don't really matter come March. We only have, I guess, what the numbers say, and it looks like it shouldn't be much of a game. But then again, who knows? It didn't seem like FDU should have ever stood a chance against Purdue either. But anyway, we're going to take Purdue, of course, to advance to the second round. But we're going to wrap things up here. Thank you for listening to the Mainly Hoops podcast.